Hello and welcome back to Kaiserreich. Norway, what am I saying? I meant Finland, of course. Greater Finland, soon to be. Finland has, together with Germany, decided to completely fuck up Europe on the map here. So, if war does not start between me and the German Empire in this, then I will, before the next episode, download a mod called, I believe it's called, like State Transfer Tool. It's a cheat mod, basically, but it's not meant for cheats. It's essentially meant for you to be able to create beautiful maps after a messy peace deal. So, kind of like the player-led peace conferences, it's a cheat that I will not use to cheat, but I might use it to give this stuff to Russia, because, you know, it should be, to make more contiguous borders, and I might give this stuff to White Ruthenia. Or maybe give this to the Baltic Duchy. I'll look up some more information about the individual states and their ethnic makeup and see what the German overlords would have done with it. But yeah, I'll handle that stuff in moments. Or I'll handle that stuff in the next video, I should say. Not now. However, this stuff I'm kind of happy with. The Transamur thing here after I gave it to Japan. And there was a concern that Ukraine did not get anything from the war. And while I hear that, and I do agree, Ukraine probably should have gotten something. I also think that like they might have... they maybe should have gotten Tsaritsyn and this kind of area here, but Ukrainians and Russians aren't really the same thing, and a lot of this territory, like it could cause conflict. And in the timeline here, the ethnic makeup of these nations is somewhat different, especially after the Kingdom of Ukraine has been independent for so long from the Russian Empire. So I'm not quite sure how that would go down and how much the Germans would like that to happen. The hope was that the Germans would give them the territory that they should have, but they gave them nothing. While I think at least they should have had like Rostov and this thing, which I will not attempt to pronounce, and maybe Tsaritsyn. Just the stuff north of this river here, and this Tsaritsyn is this is Stalingrad, isn't it? I believe it is. Yeah, so they should have gotten those things, I think. Right, well, we have a lot of extra military factories now, so we need to dedicate them and figure out how to actually use them. So we could make some anti-tank guns. We should, really, because if we're planning on fighting the German Empire, that is something we will need. We'll make a couple of more strategic bombers, but we won't over-focus on that. We want more fighters, mostly. The reason for that is that we need air superiority when we're fighting the more superior German Air Force. Still have so many military factories. I might actually just convert them to civilian. Because honestly, we don't need this many right now. Like, this is gross overkill for us right now. We don't even have the resources to produce most of this stuff. Alright, so we're no longer at war with anyone, which means we can send volunteers, and I think at this point the commune is the losing part in this war, and we've got the Democratic President John Nance Gardner. Look at the various parties here. So the interesting. So you've got two democratic parties. a Republican Party. Huh. Got a moderate Democratic Party and a conservative Democratic Party. Interesting, so there's a Democratic split. Yeah, I'm thinking the Germans are going to win this eventually. They have the numbers advantage on their side. Which is why I think we should throw a lot in with the Syndicalists, even though we are strongly opposed to them. We are opportunists. Kind of like, you know, I think for pretty much all of these like crypto or pseudo-fascist movements, they're very opportunistic. And they will throw their lot in with whoever it suits them. For example, Hitler's Germany threw their lot in with the Imperial Japanese. And both sides viewed themselves as the master race. The Imperial Japanese, of course, having the belief that they were like the people of the sun, like the Yamato people or whatever. Which translates to a kind of similar ideology to the German belief at the time, the Nazi belief rather, that they were. I will keep those divisions over in Petrograd. So yeah, we have, like, we stand zero chance at defending all this. Literally none at all. So when the war begins, our plan is to hold this and try to push into Sweden. And the idea behind holding this is to possibly be able to whittle down the enemy in fronts that we can hold, like try to get them to throw themselves against these fronts. And then we'll take Sweden for the resources, a lot of iron and all that, and the coast. Of course, when I say we'll take Sweden, I also mean Norway. By the way, if you hear pauses in the commentary, if you hear periods where I just stop speaking for a little while, that is because I'm currently struggling with what I believe to be laryngitis, which is just an inflammation of the vocal cords. I did mention this in the Norway video as well. If you watch that, I'm sorry that I'm repeating this, but I don't think the... well, I think there is a significant overlap in the audience. I don't think everyone is equally invested in each series, so I'm just going to mention it here real quick. Every time you hear a pause in the commentary, or every time I'm not speaking much, it's often because I pause to take a long sip. In order to keep the commentary running, I kind of gotta keep hydrated. To keep my vocal cords juiced and ready for me to basically let loose an incoherent ramble. And go on various tangents and all that, which you, of course, know if you watch my videos. I'm going to spend 100 on this because, while we are going to be making the new divisions with the anti-tank guns, we probably can train ourselves up to get that. I'm going to do excavation also because we've got a bunch of resources, but we can train ourselves up to get that experience as well. And speaking of which, we should probably see if we can't send a delegation to someone, or an attaché, I mean. We've got one in Germany, which should give us, yeah, give us 20% of their military experience. So we should get that back from the German military attaché. We could probably send one to the Dominion of India as well. They will not accept. Never mind then. 0.1 or 0.2% of our non-core population is eligible. So our core population is only 4 million, and our non-core population, we rule over a significant, like this is a minority that rules over a significant. In reality, this sort of administration would probably never work. The Russians would likely probably revolt against Finnish rule. It might not happen immediately, but there would probably be arms coming over the border from all of these nations here to try to destabilize us. Like this, Sundberg has 0 planes and 0 ships. I mean, he's landlocked, so mostly. So 0 planes and 0 ships. All he cares about is his horses. And his infantry, I suppose. Trying to figure out like what countries' models they're using. It looks Asian, so it might be Japanese or Chinese. Like, I was mostly judging by the weapons. This one I don't really know, but these weapons look very Japanese, I think. Japanese or Chinese. That looks good. The joy of the current situation is that the Swedish are all redeploying to fight the Commune of France. Which means that the Swedish will probably not be expecting an attack. We actually don't even need to fight Sweden to get Greater Finland. I just realized it's only it only gives us an annex war goal, which is why it doesn't automatically bypass when they're gone. So we'll try to do that after we've done the current focus. And depending on what happens with the war here, we might be close to calling this serious. Because Finland has achieved most of their strategic goals. Like, of course, I would like to take this. If we could take northern Norway, that would be, and like this spot, Tornedalen, the Thorn Valley, more accurately translates to, then we could consider ourselves satisfied. Of course, the classic case of these pseudo-fascist movements is that they never really are satisfied because they always need an enemy to fight against, and that would lead us down a self-destructive path eventually. So there are basically 2 ways we could end this series. One is by finishing the foreign policy focus tree and proclaiming Greater Finland, or we could finish this by attacking Sweden, going to war with the German Empire, and going down the self-destructive path of fascism, where we go up against this impossible enemy, believing that either we will win no matter how irrational it is because we are superior, or we will be destroyed, and from our ashes will rise a more purer, more strong people who will then be able to defeat the enemy. Of course, the Lapo movement here isn't quite as fascistically insane as the Italian or German fascism, but they are. Poland, okay, yeah, but they do share a bunch of traits. We do have a bunch of shared traits. We have some some form of palingenetic myth, some sort of myth of rebirth. We have a myth of like struggle against an other. In this sense, it's the syndicalists and the Germans. And after defeating Russia, oh, we have no civilian factories. How did this happen? Consumer goods. Gotcha. We should convert some. I want to finish this one because it's so close to being done. I'm gonna boost all these up top. And then boost them based on how close they are to being done. Like so. Yeah, there are two ways of going about this. Going down in a blaze of glory against the Germans, or going out satisfied and, you know, focusing on restructuring our country and, you know, basically establishing a greater Finland to last the ages. Of course, it won't with all the, you know, with a population that's that outnumbers us like 4 or 5 to 1, and who kind of don't like us. That's not gonna last. But, you know, setting up that stuff. In which case, if you would like me to end the series once we've proclaimed Greater Finland, and then move on to the next one, please let me know. If you would like me to go down in a blaze of glory, please do let me know. Because I am open to both. Honestly impressed that Buzz here has held out for as long as he has. Oh no, this isn't Buzz, this is Central America. Under Silverio Ortiz. Ortez, I don't know. I can't pronounce a lot of Spanish things or Latin American names and such because I have literally no knowledge of how that language works. Just doing a quick scan over everywhere again and just seeing if I missed anything. The Commune of Gabon. Did I catch this earlier? I think I did. I don't really like the flag. Seems very like, I don't know, the generic, the symbol here. Very generic industry and stuff. I might be wrong though, there might be some reason for it, but I feel like you could probably think of something more rooted in the West African, I guess like maybe agricultural culture or something. Because the various ways that syndicalism, not national syndicalism, that's the messed up one, but the various ways syndicalism is expressed here is all rooted in the country, right? I don't really know about this one, but they have the you know, the universal syndicalist symbol there, and they also have, I believe, grain around the edges here, and I don't know if that might actually be a baguette and a hammer. Yeah, they've got the grain and stuff here. Tom Mann. Who are you? Tom Mann, the famous first general secretary. Oh. Wait, following electoral gridlock, Mann, though a Leninist, has shown great historical commitment to the trade union movement and a dedicated spirit of civil service. I think I've seen this. I think I might have seen this in a previous episode, and my brain just has taken that information and shoved it in the trash. Nothing major has changed here. Yeah. But if we were to end the series at some point here, then I would do a outro video, or like a finale video. The Empire of Japan declared war on Germany East Asia. Okay, so Germany now has another powerful enemy. Yeah, if we were to do a finale, or sorry, if I was to end the series, I would make a finale video where I basically outline what happens to Finland in the future, like near future, and outline, you know, what happens to Europe and everything, and go over everything and see where we ended up after, you know, where we began. Like, the way I'm looking at it right now, I see, I don't see any sort of Cold War, really. I might see, well, maybe maybe there's like a Cold War reminiscent of the Cold War in the late Cold War, where you had a sort of a tripolar world, or, you know, quadpolar world, where you had the USSR and People's Republic of China kind of getting along, but not actually being very friendly to each other. You got the capitalist world, and then you got the neutral world. Here you have the Entente, which we need to see how that works out. You got the Reichspakt. You got the Khan. You got the Americans. And you got the prosperity sphere. Like, it's very, very messy, and it's not a world that is inherently, or that is in any way, shape, or form going to maintain stability. Okay, we got the focus for Norway. Which doesn't give us an annex war goal on Sweden, of course. Let's see if the Swedes move a bunch of troops up to their border now that we're doing the focus against them. It would be faster to just manually justify. Because we get a bunch of bonuses for that stuff through our focus tree and because of our ideology. We have so many national spirits, dude. If we are going to declare war, we're going to declare war in the dead of winter. Because of our lessened winter attrition and all that. We'll probably declare war somewhere close to the beginning of December, or a little bit before that. I actually don't know how the seasons work in Hearthstone 4, because seasons in real life obviously are dependent on the place you are. Like, dependent on geography. So in Norway, for example, the winters are longer than they might be in, for example, Britain. Like, our winters here, or like, to give you some perspective, it's June right now. It did hail or snow like a couple of days ago, I think. Of course, that's not indicative of normal weather, but still. I have also experienced at some point being in a place which is literally called Weather Island in Norwegian, where on the north side of the island it was snowing, and on the south side of the island it was like 15-20 degrees and sun. Sometimes we get strange, freakish weather. Of course, that's only going to become more and more normal with a constantly, drastically changing climate. That guy wearing a flamethrower? No. Just a lot of kit. Please, I would like something to use my political power on. Yeah, we need the anti-tank rifle Lati. Very important, because it basically gives us a straight-up bonus against tanks, or it gives us piercing and hard attack without really building anything, and we don't really have the anti-tank guns up and running yet. They're starting to get there, though. Let's just swap this over right now, as it is. We don't really have a lot of factories to... Oh, I mean, sorry, we have a lot of factories, but we don't really have a lot of need to set up another production line right now, because we don't really need to maintain our troops through reinforcements, because we're not losing anything right now. After months of diverting funds, workers and government support to the restoration of 3 Civil War era ships, namely the AG-16 Yakaru, or Yakaru, or Yakaru, I don't know, and the Vainamoinen. We have finally managed to see the fruition of our efforts. The 3 ships themselves are nothing to laugh at, especially with their modernization, and will definitely bolster the Finnish navy. There we go, 3 ships. Fancy ship, cruiser, and a submarine. Those go straight into the reserves. I mean, I'll send these guys to the home fleet. And in fact, I'll rebase these guys back home again. We want to have one submarine division, or yes, one submarine fleet outside of our kind of isolated inland sea. And South African Federation is joining the Entente. I don't actually see that often, but it's meant to be what happens with the Dominionists, I think, when they win. Yeah, we're gonna have one fleet over here so that we can actually raid the Swedish if they isolate us in the... Yeah, we're preparing now to proclaim Greater Finland. We are, however, close to the 30-minute mark, so I'm going to say thank you so much for watching. If you would like, you can check me out on social media in the description down below by following any of those links for Discord, Twitch, and Twitter. You can also find me on Patreon, where you can support me if you would like to, but it's entirely not necessary. Another way to support me is to just watch the videos, obviously, or you could buy any of the games in the humble affiliate links in the descriptions down below. You can find those under all of my videos and the link to the game that I'm playing. You get a Steam key, and it is also a very ethical retailer bundle, so it's, you know, it's a good place to spend your money. With a lot of like strange practices being thrown about now in the world of game retailing, it's nice to see a bunch of retailers that are like more sensible and more concerned with customer goodwill, I suppose. But yeah, other than that, I would like you again to remind you about the question that I posted a bit ago in this video. Should we, you know, call it quits with Greater Finland, or should we push for a war against the German Empire to claim territory in Sweden and Norway, and possibly go down in a blaze of glory? I'll read your comments before next video or next recording session, and I'll, you know, figure out what we're going to do then. We're not going to do casualties, we'll do those next video at the beginning. I'll make a note right now, and yeah, we'll sort that out. The reason I'm not doing it now is that I'm kind of pressed for time and my voice is starting to go out. So, thank you so much for watching. Please let me know what the fate of Finland should be. And that's all. Goodbye.